What's going on, guys? It is the Bad Wolf once again here to bring you guys some fire information. So this particular video is going to be about challenging jurisdiction. Now, understand that you do not want to go in there and annoy the judge or magistrate. And remember, there is and are differences between a judge and a magistrate. A lot of times when people are being rejected, it's because your information has gone to a magistrate and, well, not to a judge. Now, there are three general areas where you can challenge jurisdiction. One is going to be persona, one is going to be territorial, and the other one is going to be subject matter. In short, excuse me. In short, each one of these are exactly what you think. One is about, do they have the jurisdiction over you personally because of your status, your standing? Do they have it? Subject matter, what you're talking about, what it is that we're here today for, the event. Do they have jurisdiction over that? Territorial, where did the event take place? Do they have these things? Now, understand, if you've done something truly criminal, you hurt somebody, or you've done significant damage, or you've got a license, you've generally waived your jurisdiction. Now, generally, when you go in there, you want to tell them that you're not waiving your rights. All right. But this also may annoy the judge because he's going to know, or she's going to know, that you're heading for a jurisdictional challenge. But understand that at any point in time, you can challenge these things and they must be proven before moving forward. So do not just go in there and be like, oh, I'm going to challenge jurisdiction. Oh, no, 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 no. Now you can. I'm not saying that you cannot. I'm just saying if you've already waived and given it to them, it's going to be kind of useless for you to try to challenge, and they're just going to be annoyed. And then it makes it harder for anybody else who's legitimately trying to challenge. So, in other words, if you're a scumbag and you know you did something, don't even bother trying to challenge because they got you and you hurt somebody, and it is what it is. But for the rest of us, especially, well, and also like if you're driving where you got a license, you've waived your jurisdiction countless times before you even made it to the courtroom. The license plate, the car, the registration, all those things, you've already done it. So don't waste your time trying to challenge jurisdiction. You want to challenge, or at least don't challenge your persona jurisdiction, but there might be things within the event that you can challenge, or even the event itself. But I have asked ChatGPT to draft me up a courtroom conversation based on the parameters of the law. So let's see what it has to say, because I've already gone through it and it is in fact factual. It's how I would argue it. So let's take a look and see how you should potentially, as education from your favorite non-belligerent non-combatant, challenge jurisdiction, persona, territorial, and subject matter. Now, for those people who ask me, why do I always feel like I'm busy and tired, whatever else? Well, because here, let's take a look. And this goes out to the special people out there who are like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about law. He's quoting things off of the internet. Well, here's your America's jurisprudence books. Okay. That's American law right there. Are you happy? People are always out here trying to knock the next man down to look better. You look like clowns when you're attacking each other, okay? But there are some people out there who definitely are scumbags, and really, I should put you guys on blast to those people out there, because I've had your clients come to me and I fixed a lot of your problems out there. And some of you guys are ripping people off, and then you're trying to attack me. I've only told you guys I'm just a student. I'm still learning. Yeah, it's 40 years, but guess what? It'll take that time plus another 40 to even do a dent in half of the law and the different jurisdictions of law out there. Just find it cute. Go ahead. Keep talking me up on your channels. Either my viewers will report you for defamation, or I'll keep getting business from you guys who like to screw up and scam people out there, or you'll tell your audience about me, and then they'll come over to my channel like so many of them have already done. I'm not losing here. Let's take a look at the court play. As always, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Stay awake at everything that's going on. And as a side note, I heard some people, now mind you, you guys already know I can't vote, all right? Because I rescinded that, revocated it years ago. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't really care if you like Biden or Trump or whatever. I look at the political aspect and the business aspect of it, because here's the thing. People are like, well, Trump is causing us to have a recession. Okay, if that's true, then go and buy these stocks and crypto and whatever else as they tumble down right now, because that means that they're going to come back with a resurgence. This is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. These are just my personal experiences. Information only, educational purposes. All right, just a thought. See, one of the things about the Wizard of Oz is understanding that the message there, and they teach us messages in these movies and TV shows, so pay attention to them, but don't be overly attentive to them, because they want you to play the game and not know how to play the game. You hear the difference? They want you in the game, but they don't want you to know how to play the game. So the biggest thing you need to learn how to do is to play the game. All right? So I digress. Let's get back to it. So take it away.
ChatGPT. Create a here's a full length, I'll draft this in the courtroom juris, answer and here is is this conversation, ChatGPT. Courtroom roleplay, challenging jurisdiction in a U.S. court. Case title, Statives vs. John Doe Court, District Court of Ex-Judge, Honorable Jane Smith Prosecutor, Mr. Thomas Defense Attorney / Defendant Pro Se, John Doe Court Clerk, Ms. Williams Bailiff, Officer Johnson. Time estimate, 30 to 45 minutes. Scene, court
Now,
is
the
in
only
session.
difference here is that instead
Bailiff,
of pro se,
all
I would
rise.
probably say I'm
The
sui
District
juris
Court of
or
X is now in
pro jure.
session. The
But
Honorable
otherwise,
Judge
everything
Jane
else looks pretty
Smith
good.
presiding. You may be seated. Judge, we are here today in the matter of Statives vs. John Doe. Mr. Thomas, are you ready to proceed? Prosecutor, yes, Your Honor. Judge, Mr. Doe, are you represented by counsel? Defendant, no, Your Honor, I will be representing myself pro se. Judge, understood. Mr. Doe, do you have any preliminary motions before we proceed? Challenge 1, Personal Jurisdiction. Defendant, yes, Your Honor. I challenge the court's personal jurisdiction over me. The prosecution has failed to establish jurisdiction over my person. Jurisdiction must be proven on the record, and I require the prosecution to produce evidence proving that this court has personal jurisdiction over me. Judge, Mr. Thomas, does the prosecution wish to respond? Prosecutor, Your Honor, the defendant was arrested within the state, and the court has personal jurisdiction over him by virtue of his presence in this jurisdiction. Defendant, Your Honor, mere physical presence does not establish jurisdiction. The Supreme Court has ruled in cases such as Penhoyer v. Neff, 95 U.S. 714, 1878, that personal jurisdiction requires a valid legal nexus. The prosecution has not provided any sworn affidavit, contract, or agreement binding me to the laws of this jurisdiction. Absent evidence proving jurisdiction, the court cannot proceed. Judge, Mr. Thomas, do you have any documentary evidence establishing personal jurisdiction? Prosecutor, Your Honor, the state relies on statutory jurisdiction. Defendant, statutory jurisdiction alone does not suffice. If there is no valid contractual obligation or consent, and no injured party has filed a claim against me, the prosecution cannot meet its burden of proof. I move to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction. Judge, Mr. Thomas, any further argument? Prosecutor, no, Your Honor. Judge, motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction is granted. Challenge 2, subject matter jurisdiction. Judge, Mr. Doe, do you have any additional motions? Defendant, yes, Your Honor. I challenge the subject matter jurisdiction of this court. Judge, on what grounds? Defendant, for this court to have subject matter jurisdiction, the prosecution must establish on the record that the alleged offense falls within the specific jurisdiction of this court. In Hagens v. Levine, 415 U.S. 528, 1974, the Supreme Court ruled that jurisdiction must be explicitly granted by statute or constitutional provision. I demand proof that this court has subject matter jurisdiction over me. Prosecutor, Your Honor, the state has broad authority to prosecute violations of state law. Defendant, broad authority is not specific proof. The Supreme Court in Bond v. United States, 564 U.S. 211, 2011, reaffirmed that the government must establish jurisdiction with admissible evidence. The prosecution has not presented any substantive proof that the alleged statute applies to me specifically or that the statute itself is constitutional as applied. Judge, Mr. Thomas, do you have any case law or statutory references that affirm subject matter jurisdiction in this case? Prosecutor, Your Honor, the statute in question grants jurisdiction to this court. Defendant, Your Honor, a statute alone does not establish jurisdiction absent evidence that it applies specifically to me in a lawful manner. Jurisdiction cannot be assumed, it must be proven. I move for dismissal on these grounds. Judge, the prosecution has not provided sufficient evidence of subject matter jurisdiction. Motion to dismiss is granted. Challenge 3, Territorial jurisdiction. Judge, Mr. Doe, do you have any further jurisdictional challenges? Defendant, yes, Your Honor. I challenge the territorial jurisdiction of this court. Judge, on what basis? Defendant, the state must prove that the alleged crime took place within the exclusive territorial jurisdiction of this court. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in U.S. v. Lopez, 514 U.S. 549, 1995, that jurisdiction must be proven as an element of the case. I demand proof that the location of the alleged offense is under the legal jurisdiction of this court. Prosecutor, Your Honor, the alleged act occurred within the geographical boundaries of this state, which provides jurisdiction. Defendant, mere location within geographical boundaries does not establish jurisdiction. The court must have a valid claim over the specific territory in question. In Howard v. Commissioners, 344 U.S. 624, 1953, the Supreme Court ruled that states must establish territorial jurisdiction through legally recognized evidence. The prosecution has presented no such evidence. Judge, Mr. Thomas, do you have evidence proving territorial jurisdiction? Prosecutor, Your Honor, the state's statutory authority extends to all persons within its borders. Defendant, again, mere assertion is not proof. If the prosecution cannot provide a lawful territorial claim, the court has no authority over this matter. I move to dismiss. Judge, the prosecution has failed to provide sufficient evidence of territorial jurisdiction. Motion to dismiss is granted. Conclusion. Judge, given the defendant's well-founded challenges to jurisdiction and the prosecution's failure to meet its burden of proof, this case is hereby dismissed. Court.
Okay. Now, this is a classic textbook way of dealing with jurisdiction and challenging. However, I would not be doing my duty if I were to tell you that it's just that easy, or that ChatGPT doesn't lie, or that it doesn't hide the truth, or that it is created as a brainchild from the very jurisdiction that you're trying to fight, and that it legally speaks as a lawyer. So, though this is good information, a potentially trained individual or somebody skilled in the arts, okay, are still, at least thus far, going to be a good aid to use in your particular event or situation, etc. As always, use all the information available when trying to accomplish anything. Look at all the tools. So in here, if it was me, one of the parts in here where it mentioned, or she mentioned, um, they have jurisdiction over all the persons statutorily within their area. That in itself is a whole thing I could do a video on, because they're referring to statutory U.S. citizens or 14th Amendment ones, legal persons, generally being said. So that is also something that could be challenged in there. All right. So there are little things, words that they're going to try to use to pull you in, and they're going to sound like they absolutely have to apply, and they actually do not. Because this is the language of the devils, my friends. All right. So, with that being said, we now learned about 3 jurisdictions that you can challenge. Now, of course, you guys can use this information to further your research, but I wanted you guys to at least break into the fact that there are tons and tons of things that you can challenge. Okay. But if they believe you are, and well, if they're just a straight out butthole, we'll just say, or they believe that you are just delaying and stalling, then they're just going to railroad you, or they're just going to put you in contempt for asking questions, which for the most part denies you of your right of due process, which is a problem. But if you keep going and you're a belligerent, then they're going to have a psych eval done on you, and it's going to take time and money, and you're not going to enjoy it. Okay, so don't think you're going to be all clever with the one piece of knowledge. You have to, it takes time to learn this. It's a craft. You're not going to just print off this from Chat GPT and walk in there and say, here, I challenge jurisdiction. They're not, you're going to have to know this stuff. They're not going to accept your dialogue being sent in. You're going to have to know it. You're going to have to flow with it. And you're going to have, but once you challenge it, that's fine. But you have to be prepared for the rebuttals. Okay. So this is a piece, and it is a tool that you can definitely use. But they're going to tell you your kung fu is not good enough. So you have to learn these things. There's almost no such thing as like a one sheet document that just stops everything. Have we done it? Definitely. But it doesn't also exactly apply to every single scenario and every single person out there for all of the events that occur. That's why sometimes you need things custom crafted to you. And at the end of the day, once again, as I mentioned before, or maybe that was in the outtake, um, these can sometimes turn into kangaroo courts dealing with magistrates and not real judges. Or they can railroad you. And then now you're in a position where you have to survive the encounter, try to fight from within. Hopefully, maybe somebody can help you from without, but survive nonetheless, and then go after them for a federal lawsuit. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the information. I will talk to you guys later. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for helping me to get this information out and utilizing it. And to special thanks goes out to all the people who are in some of these municipalities, courthouses, police, sheriff, whoever else who watch these videos and have used these things or have grown and learned to understand what's really going on, instead of listening to people who are denying you of your constitutional rights and forcing you to deprive other Americans of their rights. It's only a matter of time. Tick tock, Mr. Wick. The American people, which were once lions and turned into cowardly lions, are now sharpening their claws. The bell has been rung. That which has been rung and heard cannot be unheard. You cannot put the ripples in the pond back at the beginning. I challenge each and every one of you guys to have a better life and be a better person every single day. Try to go one day without saying one negative thing and see if you can do it. I bet you can't, though I believe in you. So stay healthy, stay wise, stay aware of everything, and I'll talk to you guys later. Be good, be safe out there, or do your best.